Here's what Ephesians 4:1 says. It says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. And here's what I want you to know. All of us have a calling and all of us have a purpose. You were created, we say this a lot, you were created on purpose for a purpose. God created you. There's no accidents. There are no accidents. God created you, and somebody needs to hear that. God created you on purpose for a purpose, and he's got something great for you to do. Now, most of us understand that we have some sort of purpose. You start trying to define it when you're a kid, and usually it's wrapped up in a relationship, like you fall in love with somebody. And I remember my very first love. I was in love, and Jennifer and I have talked about this, and she's okay with it. At 14, I was wildly in love with Gloria Estefan. Some of y'all will remember Sister Gloria and the Miami Sound Machine. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. And I don't know if you remember, like, come on, Google it. I mean, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me. 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, what's not to love? I mean, she was amazing. I didn't know that she was 20 years older than me, but whatever. I remember I was 14, Lee, and she was coming to my town, and I honestly, I was like, it is my purpose to find her. I got to get to her. When she sees me and I see her, it'll be like, I don't want to lose you now. Okay, that was another one of her songs. Some of y'all don't know. And I had this moment, but our family was too Christian for me to go to her concert. Some of y'all were raised by my parents too. And so I just missed my opportunity. I missed my moment. And I remember finding out about Emilio, her man. This was before the internets. You couldn't just Google Gloria Estefan's husband. You had to find out whenever People magazine did a spread on the family, and I opened up, his big old face was sitting there with a ring on her face, and I realized that he had married her when I was 2. I never had a shot, ever. I didn't have any game at 2 years old. I don't know if y'all did, but I just didn't, okay? I wanted bad things to happen to that brother, and because, here's why. Because at the age of 14, I felt like, and you'll get this, it's very immature, but you'll get this. I was like, she'll complete me. It's my purpose. It's ridiculous, I know. But what's funny is how some of us still place our purpose in a person who can actually never bring us fulfillment, or place our purpose in a thing that can actually never bring us fulfillment. And we spend a lifetime chasing that, and you did some of that. You chased something that wasn't actually what God had called or created you to do. I want you to talk about that journey, because you made millions. You were successful. You were the private planes and the high rises and all the stuff, and it didn't fulfill you. Talk about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
You know, at a young age, I created this one business that was kind of known as a disruptor, I guess. And so going into a market and disrupting a very conventional market, and created some technology and processes that virtualize. It's very commonplace now, but in 1993 it was not. And basically virtualized the whole buying experience of products, whether it's RVs, boats, cars, whatever. And
so online, you created this.
Yeah,
wow.
And the internet was fairly new in 93.
Yeah, I was in the 10th grade. That was awesome.
So created this business. It went from 0 to $50 million in 2 years, and thought, exactly, woo, this is great. I'm like Al Gore. I invented the internet, and this is just amazing. I'm going to be able to retire before I'm 30. And was given away, being generous. I was even generous at a young age. I think God hardwires people with certain spiritual gifts. He calls us all to be worshipers, but some of us don't have the gift of worship.
Right. Some of y'all shouldn't be on the worship team.
Yeah.
You don't know that because I hear you singing real loud in church, but it's okay.
But he's also called us to be generous, but some people have a spiritual gift for generosity. And so God takes me on this journey. Really, it was tough. I mean, that business in 2 years blew up. It was amazing. 2 years later, I'm out of business. And I remember being in a 3-story home with a Ferrari parked outside, on my feet, in a fetal position in my bathroom floor, and I said, my life's over. And I remember God really speaking to me, because I was negotiating with God. God, why is this happening to me? I'm obeying your word according to Malachi, that you'll rebuke the devourer and you'll do all these things. I'm reminding God of his own word,
Because he
right?
forgets sometimes.
Yeah, he does. He needed a reminder. So I'm reminding him, I'm saying, Lord, why did you let, Lord.
But that is, a lot of times, I don't want you to keep going on that, but I just want to kind of draw this out. But a lot of times, that's how we handle failure. Instead of looking at what God's trying to teach us and what God's trying to help us figure out, we start asking him, why did you do this to me? Why? And I think we have to shift our perspective, and you did.
We did.
You learned to shift your perspective.
And he so graciously responded to my prayer, which was, son, you were given to justify the private life you were living. Exactly. And so I'm like, ooh, okay. And then God starts taking me on this journey, really, of doing just a complete work in my life. And I could have let that moment either define me or refine me. See, when you go through failure, you go through a challenge, whether it's relationally, business, whatever it is, you can either embrace it and let it refine you, because it's the journey in life that makes you. And so if we'll allow our heart to remain soft towards what God wants us to do. So I had a choice to make. Either I could let God continue to refine me, or I could let that business failure define me. I chose the latter.
And that right there is the challenging piece, I think, for a lot of us, because we don't want to embrace it. You said you have to embrace it. I want you to talk about how you do that, but we don't want to embrace it. We want to blame it on everybody else and talk about how, well, if this, then that, and instead of just embracing it and saying, okay, I made some poor decisions that actually affected my life negatively, and now I've got to change that.
Yeah, because there was many reasons I could justify what had happened. But the real core reason is God loved me enough, he wasn't going to allow me to keep living that way. And because the purpose and destiny that's on your life is so massive. Now, some people define it as financial or whatever. Really, the whole issue of what God has called you and I to do is what's in our hand. And I'll explain that. Our purpose, so many people come to me and say, Lee, how do I define my purpose? How do I know my purpose? How do I know I'm called? That's even kind of like a Christianese language word, right. My calling. I never heard that outside of church. And so, but your calling is what you're good at every day. Your calling is what's in your hand. You can do it blindfolded. It's your job, whether you are cooking chicken and those waffle fries and cookies and cream milkshake at Chick-fil-A. Come on, somebody. Woo, that's God's chicken. And
now I'm just angry because they're closed today.
I know. Isn't it the day that you think about it, it's closed?
You ever get mad at Chick-fil-A for honoring God? Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you own 50 Chick-fil-A's or you work at Chick-fil-A. If you'll be faithful to what's in your hand, it's the key to what's in your heart.
That is so crucial for us to get.
It is. So what is that in a practical application? God gifted me in business. I always felt this purpose in my heart to fund the kingdom, to be generous with missions, to, because you see, pastors set vision in a church. So you set the vision. You and Jennifer, and thank you, Jennifer, for marrying him instead of Gloria. Come on, somebody.
Yeah, it would have been bad. I'd probably be a part of the Miami Sound Machine right now, playing keyboards or something.
And nobody knows who they are.
Exactly.
But being faithful to what is your calling, what you're good at, is the key to your purpose. So many people, they're saying, well, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? You only find and fulfill your purpose. Like for me, I thought it was to fund missions, to fund the local church. So there was a tension that was created because the closer I got to God, I'd check off the boxes in church. I'm here, I'm giving, I'm in a small group, my kids like me, my wife still loves me, it must be a good day. And so, And so basically I'm checking off these boxes, but I'm here to tell you that I was not fulfilled. And I would ask myself the question, like many of you, is there more? I don't know if I want what I have as a believer right now, because it's just not, there's something missing, there's a void. And it wasn't till connecting to kingdom purpose that everything changed. Because if my purpose was to fund missions and God gifted me in business, the closer I got to God, the more I wanted to lay down what I was doing in the business world to chase this ministry thing. Wow. And God didn't call me to do that. He called me to be faithful to this marketplace gift. Now, fast track. The second business was very successful. It was a financial technology company that took a very inundated process of 8 days in the loan origination process and reduced it to minutes, and then patented it. That market that I was going after was $800 billion a year in market. size. So it's a massive market. So created this platform and patented it, and then grew the company from the basement of a rent house, starting over, eating a lot of peanut butter and jelly. Come on. A little Vienna sausage some days too.
Let's go.
Yeah, you take Vienna sausage and you saute it in real butter.
That's
Sausage
right.
bon, come on, somebody.
You thinly slice it.
Yeah, you may die 10 years earlier than you're supposed to, but
you
you're going to
thin-
die with a good taste in your mouth.
That's right. You thinly slice it, you don't recognize
Yeah.
what it is. It's good.
That's right. I'm always going to go back to food. Y'all may have a spiritual gift of worship. I got the spiritual gift of eating.
Come on.
I got the Cajun, man. You fry it up, we're going to eat it.
Amen.
Yeah. We the only state where when you leave a restaurant, a Cajun restaurant, you don't leave with a breath mint. You leave with some Lipitor.
That's true, bro.
Sorry. Let's get back to being faithful to what's in your hand. People will lay down the very thing God's called them to do, to chase this thing in their heart, and they never get there. So you got to be faithful. So for me, if it's to fund the kingdom, being faithful to what was in my hand in business created me fulfilling through being able to fund millions of dollars to the kingdom.